Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. So in the previous two videos we talked about possible trade setups here. They still exist. If you want to know more about that, maybe check out the previous videos. I showed you 2 or 3 trade setups, how this can all be traded after getting into the Wave B support area here. At the moment, my assumption still continues to be that in this very short-term price action here, and that's what I'm going to focus on because we talked about the other scenarios extensively in the previous videos. Not too much has happened since then. I'm still looking at one more lower low. In fact, at the moment, everything is expected. Everything's working out as expected so far. We have now reached the resistance area. Yeah. So in the previous video, we hadn't reached that yet. Now we have reached it. That is good because that is all according to the wave count. That gives us a little bit more confidence in this wave count because this, I currently see this as a 5-wave move down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ideally part of a wave C of the B wave here. Could also be something different, but ideally a 5-wave move in a wave C. So that means ideally we see one more low into the $16,200 region. But as I said in previous videos, we should, and that is what a wave 4 should do, we should get into this yellow resistance area. Why is this so relevant? Because this is the Fibonacci resistance area between the 23.6% Fib level and the 50% Fib level. And we've now reached the minimum what a wave 4 normally should do. That gives me a little bit of a relief, because I was a bit concerned that, for example, because Ethereum had already reached its target area, Bitcoin didn't. So now Bitcoin reached it as well. That's great. And in theory, the C wave could still push a bit higher. Ideally, it would go to the $17,022 level, which is the 38.2% Fib level. However, the initial touch of that 23.6% Fib level was a rejection. And you can see how accurately those Fib levels actually are. We reached the area and then got rejected. Quite strongly, actually. However, it hasn't really thrown us back. We haven't, as a result, made a lower low or something. So, again, the 38.2% Fib level at $17,022 or $17,020 is the ideal target for a wave 4. That will remain the ideal target for a wave 4. It doesn't need to reach it. It's now reached already the minimum that it needs to do. But looking at this wave pattern as a possible ABC, the reasonable expectation would be to look at the 38.2% Fib level and say that's an ideal target. We can also measure the target in a different way, and we can say, okay, we had a wave A, we go to the low of the wave B, and the C wave target, there's 2 targets. The 1-to-1 ratio would take us to 16.9K. That's the first ideal target for a C wave. The very first target is the 61.8% extension. As you can see here, that was at 16,817. We reached that, but that's a target that only very rarely is sufficient for a C wave. So normally you would expect to have the C wave at least the same length as the wave A, and that would be at 16.9K. And then the 1.618 extension, 17,040, which is very close to that 17,020 level I just showed you. So we've got a confluence of resistance there. That is also an ideal target. So we've got 2 possible targets now. And unless we break down below that B wave low, which is at 16,670, we can look at going a little bit higher now. Yeah. That swing low wasn't broken. That would be a signal that we do go lower. I mentioned in the previous video, if we break this swing low, then we can assume wave 5 has started. Obviously, swing low wasn't broken. So you continue to expect at least the price to reach the target area, which has now happened, but not yet the ideal resistance. So could be we go a bit higher, and then, however, I would expect to move down because this makes the impression of a very corrective movement here. Yeah. If we don't go higher, and we now come down, at least we touched the resistance area, at least the wave 4 did what it normally would do. It reached the target area, it reached the minimum Fibonacci retracement level, and we can be ready now that it goes down, but primarily it would it's the expectation that we reach at least here that, or ideally that $17,020 level, because it is what a wave 4 in most instances would do. So it's the most probable outcome, really. But yeah, coming down would take us to 16.2k, and then we've got here the next pivot point, the next decision point. If we are in a very bearish scenario and go down straight, and will eventually break this, or if we actually after this make a new high, as these two wave patterns in red and green would suggest, as a roadmap here. Either way, I would expect some sort of a at least short-term bullish reaction out of this support area. It's quite a substantial one. We have a swing low previously here, and it is an area of Fibonacci support where you would at least see some kind of a reaction. And depending on if it is a corrective move up, a so-called 3-wave move, ABC, or if we see 5 waves to the upside, depending on what we see, we can make a more informed call about, are we in the red count? Are we in the green count? Both would move in very similar ways. Or are we actually in a much more bearish count, which would come down from here in 5 waves, move up in only 3 in an ABC pattern, and then we would come down straight away into the area below 14k. So very, very, to keep it very simple, if we are in the green or the red count, we can expect afterwards to find support somewhere in the 14 to 14.5k area, even though the red count would make it more likely to also break that. But if we are in something more bearish, something more immediately bearish, and we don't make a new high above 18,350 after finding support in the red area, and we only go up in 3 waves, then it would most likely take us down to 13.5, maybe 13k, and maybe even lower. So to keep it simple, yeah. And that's my update about Bitcoin towards the weekly candle close, and as we are heading obviously in a new trading week. So yeah, hopefully you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, please check out the channel membership. And if you really like the content, then also check out our Instagram, Twitter, and possibly the trading course that we also offer on morecryptoonline.com. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.